been a hot minute. I know we've been gone for 2 weeks now. Alan and I were traveling, and then I was traveling still, and I just got home a couple of days ago, so we're ready to go, and we're ready to get stuff going. Welcome to Here Be Dragons, where creativity and courage. Whoa, this is my turn to fuck it up, mess it up. Wow, I'm on a roll tonight. Let's try this again. Welcome to Here Be Dragons, where creativity meets courage and dragons live in the art we create and the lives we lead. I'm Carla Morrow of DragonLady Art, and with me is my co-pilot and dragon rider extraordinaire,
Alan Childers of Alan Childers Art and Illustrations. We're here to talk about the dragons we face, the treasure or the booty we're after, and the wondrously weird journey of life. Every episode will explore what it takes to face your dragons and maybe even ride one.
So grab your shields, sharpen your claws, and let's dive in today because we're asking the question that matters most. What dragons are you facing? We have a guest. Ben Neb is a friend of mine
Neb.
in Rialto. Neb. We just go by Neb.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Whenever we feel like it, it's
Hi,
fine.
Renee.
Yeah.
Is she already on?
Yeah, we're on.
Oh my goodness. Well, I know we're on. There's the chat. Okay. Hey, Renee. Sorry. I know we have been
Oh, there's chat.
gone for a hot second. I'm going to share this on my socials.
Sweet. Oh, yeah.
But we are talking. Here we go. Okay. Cool. Now I can actually focus and stuff. Hi, guys. Yeah, so I was traveling. We were at Norman, Oklahoma for their Norman, Oklahoma Medieval Fair. And then I scooched up to Wichita, Kansas to do the Great Plains Renaissance Fair. And I was gone for 2 weeks, and now I'm back. And we did record an episode and post it. We didn't stream it right after Norman Ren Fair. So if you want to hear how the Ren Fair went, check that out over on our Substack and whatnot. But we are back, and we have a guest that's Ben or Neb. And Ben, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Ben. And Neb. Or Neb, Ben, whatever. Hi. How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
Deb,
Doing all right.
can you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what your relationship to art is?
Oh, it's complicated.
Give us some frame.
Yeah. So let's see. Comic book artist for about 10 years ish. Was working on a story that's kind of since folded, and kind of went off on my own doing mostly like illustration pinup kind of stuff, doing the convention circuits and stuff like that. Did the Patreon thing for a little bit, and failed miserably. And so got into a car accident in 2017, I think. Kind of messed up my back a little bit, and that was right at kind of my peak output as far as like artistic output. And so just kind of got to a point where I couldn't spend the time, sitting over the drawing table drawing like I used to could, and had a big family move shortly after that, and moved to a new town, smaller town,
Just a little bit.
and a little bit smaller, yeah, a little quieter, which is nice, but kind of gave me an opportunity to sort of step away and kind of get out of it, and I think it kind of gave me permission to just quit, essentially, and just say, like, I'm not an artist anymore. I think, I know if you'd asked me years ago, like, who I was, it would have been artist, that's it. It would have been artist, and spent a good couple of years not being attached to that anymore, which was interesting. And then I did that for 4 or 5 years, maybe. And then decided to pick it up again and started streaming. And so I did art streaming for about a year on Twitch. Had some, marginal success with that. But it was nice to kind of get back into it a little bit. I have I don't know if you guys can relate to this or not. I self-punish a lot, which sounds really stupid, but like when you're doing the art, you're rewarding yourself by doing the art. And when you stop doing the art, you let me back that up a little bit. You keep yourself motivated by, if I stop, I'm going to lose it. Right. And that's how you kind of keep yourself, just hammering away at that thing. And so when I stepped away, and when I picked up that pencil again, I was convinced that it was gone, and I couldn't get it back. And like I said, I kind of sort of just creeped along streaming for a little while, and was happy, but also very frustrated that it was all right there again. Some stuff's a little rusty. I'm still having a hard time with hair again, but
I think
but it was.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but
oh no.
I think that kind of leads into one of the questions that we ask all of our guests on the show. Kind of the name of the podcast and the stream is "Here Be Dragons," and we kind of ask all of our guests what dragons are they facing. I think you've kind of alluded to a lot of the dragons that you've been facing with your stepping away from art for a little while. And first of all, I have to say that it's okay. I think that it's okay to step away for your own peace of mind and your sanity, and regroup for a while, even if it's a long while, because burnout is a real thing, and it affects everybody differently. So yeah.
Well, there's definitely some mental aspects to all of that, and mental health too, and but I do find I still find myself in this dilemma of what am I if I'm not drawing, and
I think a lot of us struggle with that because, as you said, from a young age, like if you asked who we were, it'd be artists, right? Like I was probably 6 or 7 when I made the decision that I was going to be an artist, and that's capital A, capital A artist. So that's been like so wrapped up in my identity and who I am for so long. So I couldn't, I can imagine putting the brush down for a short time, but not stopping being an artist, because it's so integral to who I am as a person and everything else that I like and I'm interested in. And I like the business just as much as the art, but it's art business, right? Like I don't care about opening a storefront or running whatever, all that kind of stuff. But an art business is just as interesting to me as the art is, because it's so like, that's the core of who I am.
I think, well, that was actually one of the parts of it that I really struggled with, and I still do. And that's something that gives me a lot of pause about the future right now. Having done the convention circuits and, been out there doing it, being behind the table, I fucking hate it. And it's weird to me because it should be the Mecca, right? That should be our home. But I hate selling art. I hate schlepping art is really what it comes down to. I hate sitting there trying to get people to buy my stuff. Something about my art has always not connected, and I don't know what that is. And I have lots of theories. None of them are good. But it's something, you struggle with. And when you're sitting behind the table and, you're essentially on display, for lack of a better words. This is me, warts and all. And, and when people just ignore it, it's, it takes a toll. And, I was talking to somebody today about it, and, there's a lot of different factors that are all outside your control. You don't have, you don't have any control of like where you're at, where your placement is, who's around you, where, what the economy is doing that show. You don't have any control over the audience and what they're looking for. So, there's all sorts of different factors that come into play that can have an effect on your numbers, your sales or whatever, that are completely outside your control. And I've always kind of joked that whatever that magic like button is, I'm over here always. I missed it by 5 minutes. I was 5 minutes too early or 5 minutes too late to whatever party it is, and I always tend to miss out, which is, it's annoying. And I mean, I don't. Again, I mean, you kind of have to justify all of the stuff in your mind and figure out what is, what you're doing, what the problem is, and try and adjust. But
it's a volume numbers game. I mean, you gotta, if one show doesn't work, usually you gotta give a show 2 or 3 years, or if this show doesn't work, then you gotta try something else, then you gotta try something else. So like being in it for the long haul is incredibly difficult, because I have been to shows, I have had $0 shows before, and realizing that it's just not, my audience, and having to go somewhere else. I dropped out of the convention circuit back in 2019 to focus more on Renaissance fairs, metaphysical shows, and now I'm moving into fine art shows. But it's just because I could not keep up with the convention market. That's the people that were selling were the people that have been published, that are wanting to be on Magic the Gathering, that are want to be in D&D, so on and so forth, which is great, but that's not what I wanted. So I was not being seen because of those artists being there, which again is great. There's nothing like I'm not taking it personally or anything, but having to shift gears, absolutely, and just figure out where you belong.
But I think it's important to realize too, as we have this equation in our head of what we think art is, and how we're supposed to come at it. But the convention scene is only one universe, one aspect of an art market, right? There are studio artists, there are academic artists, there are people who do it for their mental health. So commercial art and aspects of that are only one aspect, and sometimes we get kind of pigeonholed into thinking that should be the path that we go down. That should be this is what the style of art that I do. Everyone does this, so I should go do that. And it really sometimes it just rails against who we are as people. I'm not, if you're not good at socializing, you may not be, standing in front of people, all day long for 6 or 8 hours a day might just be like murder. But, grinding out at an art desk, putting together a comic book for, a major studio, that might be the way to go. And it's one of those things. I think that there's some really quiet artists out there in the background, just grinding away, making fucking phenomenal work. But they don't always get the limelight, and they don't always, step in front of people like that.
Well, that's 90% of licensing and pattern design and stuff like that. I mean, if you're making art for retail, your name's not on any of that, right? We don't know the artist that designs the curtains in your house, or the pattern on your shirt, or the tea turtle shirt. It's all under a different brand. So, those are artists that never really know, nobody knows who they are, as opposed to making your own brand, which is really difficult, right? Creating yourself as a brand is difficult.
And that was the root of the problem too, is I was working on IP. So it was a self-published comic, and without the mechanisms behind that to help that succeed. I mean, there was a lot of other stuff, and it's never one thing ever, but there's just a lot of different there's a lot of different stuff going on. And then, let me swing back around. So I quit doing conventions. because like I said, I was miserable every time I did Denver Comic Con, which I think was the biggest one that I've done.
Tough con. That is a
Had
tough con.
an absolutely miserable show.
What year did you do Denver? I bet you we were there at the same time.
It's either 2016 or 2017. I'm not sure. It was right about that.
That would have only been like the third or fourth year it had been around, right? That was only did it start in 12? Something like that? But
maybe, yeah.
I think folks are just intimidated by the majestic beard. I mean, that would be my.
Well, I didn't have it at that time. I don't have this.
Right?
They're just intimidated by yes, just show that I'm inferior to your beard.
Put it away, boys. Put it away.
Hold on.
Yeah. Oh, stop. Yeah. I don't know. It was okay. There's a lot of external pressures on all this too. At the time I was working full time. My wife was a stay-at-home mom. I have 3 kids. So I was supporting everybody, financially. So every dollar I was taking out of the home kitty essentially, to put into, this little side hustle I was trying to do, in my mind had to be returned because again, I'm taking money out of, the family reserve. And so that was a big part of it too. And so when I wasn't making that money back, I'm not only am I dealing with the rejection of not making the show money or table or whatever, but I'm also now having to deal with like, I've just taken money away that could have been used for more important things, So there, like I said, there was a lot of stuff going on. So I quit cons, started a Patreon, did kind of okay with that for a little bit. As a friend of ours, John Sumro, often told me I was giving away the farm. So I was doing too much. I was doing too much for the Patreon, and the reality is I couldn't sustain it. And so
probably did better than I ever did. I think one of the 2 people that followed me were, I think maybe my mom did it, and my
mom was in there too, so I can't. But hey, money's money. Thanks,
y'all have supportive parents.
Yeah. Well, I did that for a bit, got in a car accident, had to, close that all up because I just couldn't do that anymore. Which was kind of a bummer. And then, like I said, I kind of, I put my tail between my legs, left the art scene completely, came back a couple of years later, did a little bit of streaming. Well, I shouldn't say a little bit. I streamed at least once a week for a year, which is good.
I'd like to touch on that a little bit. I wanted to touch on that a little bit because I know you and I have talked privately about how when you were streaming, it started to become like about the content, and you didn't want to make art outside of the stream because you started to feel like like I should be I should save this art making time for the stream so I can be the performing.
It is a real thing.
Something I wanted to touch on too, because I know I got out of live streaming for several years because I felt like I was performing all the time. And then it's exhausting. It's exhausting when you have to stick to a schedule. And I mean, that's the whole reason I asked Alan to join me in the live streams was to take some of that pressure off myself because it was a lot and I was headed towards burnout again. So.
Oh, yeah.
And we're not always creating on the streams too. We're talking to people. We're doing interviews. We're talking about.
Oh well, when we first started though, it was all about just making art and BSing. Yeah. Before we decided to go with a podcast. Yeah.
Well, and I did a art stream with some friends of mine years back. This is before I kind of left it was actually kind of when I was producing, and and had a ton of fun with that. And there's a weird aspect of it. Everybody's different. Everybody, has different tools in their tool bag, right? Some people are terrible at sales. I fucking love performing. It's just so weird. I've had the privilege to be on a couple panels at conventions that I had no business being on, and I had a blast. Oh, I had so much fun doing that. I love talking people up. I like talking about creativity. I like I like talking to people about their struggles. When they're struggling with art, I like to be able to be there to be supportive of that, because I've been there. I know what that feels like. I know I've had the benefit multiple times to have been both the giver and the givee of that pep talk. And
Well, you've done it for me multiple times.
well, I mean, I know when I've gotten it from friends of mine, maybe not even friends of other artists, it's huge. And there's an aspect of that. You have to be listening, you have to be present, and you have to be in a place that you can hear it. But if you're there and they're giving it, holy shit, sorry, it's magic.
I think we're well and geeky at this point. It's fine.
Yeah, good. All right.
This is going to be a naughty episode, folks.
Yes. Wait a second. No, I don't have a button for that. Sorry, never mind. But there's an aspect of that hype, giving somebody the hype up, giving them, kind of. And there's a time like, well, if I'm not doing it myself, at least I can, help other people or talk them up or talk them through. And so, whenever I get that opportunity, I try and take it. But to swing all the way around to the present. So after another long hiatus of not doing much of anything, I've been, Carla and I have been in a writers group for a while now. And it's almost 2 years. I think that's about right.
I came in right after the fire. Yeah, I came in like the winter after the fire.
Yeah.
Well, and I live in the same town. Y'all could figure that out.
Yeah, I don't know. We had one of the people at the writers group. We were talking about something. I don't even remember what we were talking about. And I don't know. I seized on an opportunity to give her a little shit. But no. But I mean, it was.
I whined at you until you joined Stella's group.
Did you give yourself your own advice? Did you give you the advice that
yes.
you needed to hear?
That's exactly what. Well, that's what it was.
He gave it to somebody else, and then texted me back 2 days later, going, "God damn it! I should be taking my own advice."
The gist of it was that
talking to you through another person.
Yeah, I hate it when that happens.
Through your own mouth, giving it to another person.
Stupid subconscious. No, but I mean the gist of it was that you have these tools. Why are you using ineffective tools to do the thing that you know how to do? That's stupid. Do it the way you know how to do it. And I remember giving that talk and doing that, and I being oblivious to what I was saying, other than just word vomit.
And you were so passionate about it too. You were there, and you were giving. You're like, yeah, you got to do this. You're standing, explaining. Yeah, he was fully involved in this.
Double barrel, man. Double barrel.
I want you to listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth.
Listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth.
Well, and like Carla said, a couple of days later, I'm like, oh fuck.
Yeah. He started messaging me on Discord. He's like, God damn it. I'm like, And I've been hassling him for months. I like finding out after the fact that I was right. I mean, that just makes me happy.
Yeah, I know. And
so
you're absolutely one that was telling me. So I did something dumb and decided I'd start a webcomic. But then, as I often do, made it way more complicated than it needed to be.
We're gonna block
So
that.
yeah, I kind of leaned into just doing something simple as I could possibly make it. But then I kind of kept adding more layers, which is often what I do, and that's a whole nother conversation.
Layers.
But
All
yeah,
the layers.
God, fucking so many layers. 160, I think, is one of the last
Can't do it.
SD files.
If you can't
got
do it
nothing
in
on
3,
there.
come on now.
Yeah.
I thought I used a lot of layers, and then Ben whipped it out and showed me, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'm layer light.
I have a problem. I have a lot of problems, but that's one of them.
Layers Anonymous.
Instead of the edit button or the back button, he just makes another layer and does his edits over the top.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Hey,
like I subscribed it up myself. You never know. I am not above
I hope you
copying the entire file and fixing it in a new file to leave the original file.
So how many layers did you say? What's your top layer count?
160?
That's just on the webcomic. I had 160 layers, 160 plus some.
No. You just did the turn off and on all the way down the list.
I think did I?
And
show
then you have a layer with
some
something that's like so small that you're like trying to fix.
So, like, if they had a mechanism that allowed you to like do like a piano, you know how you can run your finger along the.
Oh God, that would be amazing.
And then just like all your layers like that, you would probably.
He's got that bit figured out.
Yeah, it's a problem. But you know, I've often said like, it's how I make art, and it makes sense to me. I mean, it doesn't make sense to anybody else. Trust me, it's absolute chaos. But it makes sense to me the way that I build something. And the webcomic, I've been posting those. Hey.
Sorry, Nathan posted.
Oh yeah.
On the podcast.
Losing track of layers.
Yes.
Yeah, I try really hard not to do that, but I spend way too much time scrolling through layers, and I don't want to talk about it. I'll just put it that way. But yeah, it's a problem. But yeah, so I started doing the webcomic, was having fun with that, and that again, it was designed to be stupid, throwaway, one-off, you know, in, out, and it's done. You know, that's the idea behind it, and it has not worked out that way.
You're still making a webcomic though, right? You're still doing it?
I am. I'm four pages into my first long form comic.
Nice.
I'm so excited.
Which is still kind of in a webcomic format, but it's fun. And so another little bit of backstory. So I worked on a sci-fi comic for many years. Walked away from that. When we moved down here and I couldn't really bring myself to draw anymore. I harbored this delusion. Well, fuck it, I'll just write it because that's easier.
And then you join the writers group.
Yeah.
You're still working on it. You're still working on it.
Yeah, I'm still working on it. I've always enjoyed writing, but I never thought it was something I could really do. Like I have ideas, and I have ideas, and I think I have a good idea for like plot. It's just, as I've mentioned many times in the writers group, you know, you're trying to draw with words, and that's complicated because, you know, as an artist coming to it, like, why would I want to sit here and tell you 5 sentences about this fucking cup when I can just draw a cup and have a cup in front of you? See what I told you. And so I'm kind of trying to reverse engineer everything. Whereas the flip side of that is, you know, I would get frustrated with my writer because it was like, he would go on and on and on about stuff, and I'm like, all I need to know is what color is the fucking cup. That's it. That's all I need to know. So
Give me the artist brief.
yeah, I know
Right?
it is.
That's why it's called an
you
artist
know,
brief. Keep it brief.
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 Brief. So there's a different dynamic in just trying to figure out both sides of it, and so
you have
after giving. Oh, sorry. Good. Well, I was
So
just gonna say
you
after
have a lot
giving
of-
the.
You seem to have like a lot of high expectation for what your art and what your story like produces. Glad
you said it.
It's gotta perform at a certain standard for you to consider it good.
Ben
to
is a
consider it
professional.
successful, not
Consider it
necessarily
successful.
good to be consider it successful, and that's a self-imposed limitation because of literally monetary costs. I mean, in order to recoup what I'm putting into this, there's a number that I need to be able to make out of it, and it's stupid, but I mean that's the game that I play with myself. Yeah, I don't know. I have a sense when something's okay. I don't know about good. Good's a stretch, but when I can walk away from a piece and say, what's that?
Successful. And that depends on the person too, because I mean, successful for all of us is different, means different things, right? And I know Alan and I have talked about finished, not perfect before. It just gets the thing done. And get better on always getting better on the next one as opposed to
and that's
Nathan actually said something. So Nathan says, I kind of stumbled upon a bit of a quote recently that applies here. As illustrators doing storytelling, we embody the saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. It's up to us to make those 1,000 words count. And I completely agree with that for sure.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
But what I was gonna say, like Carla alluded to, it's like, I tell like some of my kids in my classroom, it's you gotta just practice makes proficient, not perfect. So it's like the more you do it, the more you fail at it, it stands to reason that you're going to get better at it. But everything is so highly polished, produced. Like I look at things like, Image Comics or DC Comics and now they'd be able to do it as a one-person team. But before, that took like an entire whole substrate of people to develop something cool.
Well, and even just look at like the original Dragonlance book covers, or going back to the original Pern covers that came out in the 70s and 80s versus the covers that we're putting out now, like DeSantos and holy cow, when you talk about modern marvels of artistic genius, it's how far we've come, and a lot of that is tech, right? It's like the printing process, and we're no longer having to do 4-color printing or limited colors or no gradients and stuff like that. Like artists are always on that cutting edge of tech.
And I think, like for myself, so my friend who is the writer, so he did the writing, and I sort of, tasked myself with. Well, and this is by design. I'm horribly independent. I don't
we call that hyper independence. I too have that. Yes. It's a terrible thing, and it's really
I don't like to, and I can't rely on people to do things for me. So when it came to doing a comic book, like even when we were still talking about doing a comic book, what took the longest amount of time was, we had been toying with the story since high school. Actually, since my freshman year of high school, I think freshman or something.
We're old now, so that was a while
long
ago.
time. Yeah. So we had been toying with that idea for a long time, but the biggest hindrance was not knowing how to make a comic, not knowing how to color a comic, not knowing how to, do all of the things that I was going to have to be able to do in order to have a finished comic. So over the course of, those 30 years, I took jobs in print shops, so I'd learn printing technology. But printing, to know what I needed to do to take something to a print shop. I learned desktop
That has the
publishing so I
same
could make
flavor of
books.
ADHD I do, where if we
Yeah.
decide we want to do something, we're going to learn how to do it in all the ways and
Yeah.
all the things, and then just do it our
Yep.
fucking selves.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't be like us, kids. It does not. It's not good. It's not good. Don't be like us.
Oh, screw that. I love this. I wouldn't
Oh
trade
yeah,
this
we
for
have
anything.
such a random, eclectic collection of skills now that
I
I could
I
not be
collect
anything else but an artist because of the skill set that I have. Is so weird.
exactly.
Like it's so
Well,
random.
I
I
collect
think your
skills like
guys'
people
burnout
collect
wall is
Pokemon.
invisible. Mine is my burnout wall has a big red sign on it, and it says, "You can't do that. You need to find somebody else to do that for you."
So, and the problem with that is that's what I kept running into. I was like, "Fuck that! I'll figure it out."
I'll figure it out.
Yeah, and I mean that's
God for
it. That's
YouTube and
how
the internet.
Well, yeah, I mean that's before YouTube, but
Well, yeah.
it took a lot of time and energy and training to figure out how to make a comic book, how to do all the things and know all the pieces of software that I would need to know in order to do that. And so, like, I had that skill set. I mean, again, that took me a long, long time to get to the point where, and this is the irony of the situation too. I mean, for the longest time, I always felt like I was the weight. I was the one holding us back because I didn't know how to do this thing. I didn't know how to do this thing. I could, like, my art wasn't good enough to do a comic. I didn't know anatomy well enough. I didn't know how to do lettering. I didn't know how to do, all
This is
of
what happens
the
when you're friends with a
multi.
narcissist, kids.
Yep. But I didn't know how to do all the things that I needed to know how to do. And so
To carry it.
once I hit that level that I those were no longer my roadblocks, then I was reliant on somebody else to do their part, and that's where things started to fall down.
Well, and it also it's like I've already done everything else. Like I shouldn't have to do that one freaking thing to get the project done. And at that point, it's like, dude, shit or get off the pot.
Well, I had written
to whoever's responsibility that was.
Friend,
yeah. Well, I had written because, and again, out of frustration, I had written a story with our characters, that I wrote. It was my story. It was something that I just, came up with and presented that, and that didn't go over very well. And so, shortly after we moved here, actually, I was moving a pile of papers and I came across that and I read it and I was like, holy shit, this isn't bad. So I changed all the names and kind of rethought it a little bit. And that ended up becoming the impetus for the sci-fi novel that I'm writing, which is also the same set of characters that are the comic book that or I shouldn't say comic book. It's not a comic book, but a web comic that I'm working on. So it swing back around. So after giving the pep talk to the other person in our writing group about using what I sat down a couple days later and just created a quick 3-panel thing. And again, me being an artist, when I'm visualizing these characters that I'm trying to write about, I know what they look like because I've already figured that out. So the hard part is to try and explain to somebody else that's what they look like, not just like, this is what they look like. Which is another thing I have a problem with. I want, and again, that's the writer versus the artist. The writer, you're trying to let the person create their version of that character, and I'm like, screw that. You will see what I want you to see. So
all the control.
Yes, well, mad power trip, yes. But I want full control over the visuals. I want full control over what you, the reader, is seeing. So that's a whole thing. I haven't cracked that nut yet. I don't figure that out. I have not figured that out yet. I'll got to work on that. But you know, getting to the point where I could take the characters that I have, put them into a format that I'm familiar with, and then play with my tools or toys. Really, I mean, that's best
It's all
way
the
I
same
can
thing.
describe it.
Toys, it's the same.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, me trying to write this stuff is different than me drawing it, because drawing it is like, those are like, I can get out my GI Joes and this is what's happening. Writing about it is like me trying to tell you where my GI Joes are, and I don't know where they're at. They're buried in a box somewhere. You know, it's a completely different mindset. It's a completely different comfort level. And so, you know, me taking my own advice was go use the tools that you know to explore the characters that you're trying to explain to somebody. And that's where the webcomic came from. And I'm having fun with it. I need to get caught up because I'm blowing through my backlog of comics that I've finished already. I only have a couple left. So, and I'm not, I have
Uh-oh, we lost Ben.
Oh no.
He should be back momentarily.
there I am.
There he is.
That was weird.
That was weird. Anyway, I'm blowing through the backlog of comics that I've made already. And it's taking me a little bit longer to do the longer form ones because so the original ones I built, it took longer to set them up, but I built them like marionettes so that I could draw the characters once and then just move their arms, you know, and, you know, twist everything and then kind of create unique images every time. So the last comic I'm working on, I am hand drawing everything. So
Ooh.
Oh, shit.
that's,
I didn't know that.
it's good. It's flexing another muscle. But it's, you know, it's just taking a little bit longer just because I haven't had as much time. But I keep getting sidetracked with other images too, which is not good. Well, it's good. It's practice, and I need more practice. And again, coming back to drawing after not having drawn for quite a while, I do need practice. I did one a couple weeks ago that I felt like for the first time in a very long time, I was starting to get back to drawing hair the way I used to. For whatever reason, I like drawing hair. I've liked
'Cause you don't have
drawing
any.
hair for, yeah, exactly. It's compensation.
Compensation.
Wait, I do too. But
It's just reverse it.
yeah, exactly.
What I said, just move.
I can't twist that way. I'm old. But you know, just trying to get some of those, like, you know, it's a muscle. We know you
Dust
build
the
the
old
muscle
skills
memory.
off there.
Yeah, I mean, I know
Yeah.
how to do it. It's just there's a comfort. You know, it's, you know, the hand's not quite
Well,
doing the flick like I want it
Gotta get
to.
the muscle
we
memory
talked
back.
about this before. I've talked about this before, how when I am digitally drawing for too long, like I kind of like, it takes me a while to get back into drawing traditionally. And you had said something before where you had something where like the pen or the stylus was just a little bit, the jitter was off just a little bit, which made you go slower, which actually helped your traditional drawing a little bit more.
Yeah, that's my inking journey. So
I always found that fascinating when you talked about that before.
yeah, well, I'm an IT guy. I've done IT for a long time, so I'm, you know, I like computers. I have computers. I like, that's my jam. And you know, doing art, I've always been looking for, like, I was, you know, back in the day, I don't know if you guys remember these, but like old hand scanners where you like, you'd have to scan something and like move your hand to get it, and it would always stretch it and do some weird stuff.
Yeah, I've got one in a drawer somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to
That would
scan
be
my
great for
stuff.
art. No.
No. I was trying to scan my stuff into a digital format for years, to very marginal success. I got into digital coloring long time ago, and
Back with MS
like
Paint, kids. MS Paint.
well, I was like Photoshop 2, I think.
Photoshop
Right?
2.
Yeah, I
Holy
mean,
shit.
yeah, I mean, it goes way back. But I you know, I've been trying to get this disconnect from me to the computer out of the way.
You're just waiting for that jack, right? That just plugs right in the back of your head.
Yeah, just
I know Kung Fu.
gimme. Gib Kung Fu, yes. But I was looking for ways to shorten that process or you know, streamline that you know, me to the computer thing. And then I worked in a computer shop for a few years, and I had this lady came in. She wanted a new computer. She bought a new computer. She said, "Can you get rid of this one for me?" And I was looking it over, and it was a tablet PC, so it actually had a pen that you could draw on. And I went right to my boss and said, "I need this." I mean, it was old, but I mean, it worked. And he, you know, he kind of hemmed and hawed, and he's like, "All right, fine, take it." So I was like, "Cool." Yeah. IT guys are scavengers. But we, you know, I took it home and I started playing around with it. And the only thing I could figure out that I could actually get black lines into a computer with was Illustrator. And I didn't know Illustrator very well at the time, but I kind of taught myself Illustrator, and I got it to a point where I could actually ink with Illustrator. Now, the problem with inking with Illustrator is
It's vector.
it is vector, but it's what was I trying to say? It's you're making a line, but that's not the line that it's going to make. It did have pressure sensitivity, so you could get your varying line widths, which is what I was looking for. But like if you drew a line here, it would make a line here. So you have to kind of exaggerate your movements, go up here to get something in the middle. And so I did that for, I don't know, like 2 years of digital inking with that. And with Illustrator, and I was inking. I mean, when I first started, I was inking literally everything I could get. I was pulling old pieces. I was pulling photographs and inking photographs, just trying to, you know, build that muscle memory. And then that tablet PC gave way to another tablet PC, which was a little bit faster version. I ran that one for a while. And then I finally bit the bullet and went to a Cintiq. So the Cintiq was great. And then by that time I was still using Illustrator for a while. But a friend of mine had told me about Manga Studio, and I think I was using Sketchbook Pro. Yeah, Clips. Well, yeah, before, yeah. But I was using Sketchbook Pro because Sketchbook Pro was amazing for penciling. And then I kind of segued into inking with Clip Studio Paint and then coloring in Photoshop. So I was using 3 different programs to do all this stuff. And, you know, going from one to and I had a lot of fun doing that, but it was, you know, it was just time intensive. And I figured out, I kind of got myself to where I was good at digital inking. I remember I started there was a comic group in Albuquerque. Where I was living at the time. And I think it was like the first or second meeting, kind of like the writers group, just a bigger group.
Yeah.
And I think it was like the second meeting I was there. I was like, "Hey, who can I talk to about digital inking? I really need somebody to do like a presentation or something on digital inking. I really want to know more about it and I need to get better at it. I'm like, okay, cool. When can you do it? So I ended up giving a class on digital inking.
Oh, nice. So
which
you were
was
the subject matter expert.
I apparently. So I ended up giving a class on digital inking to everybody there, and then shortly after that, like 2 or 3 of them bought Cintiqs, and then we were, they became friends of mine that we were always, communicating back and forth and learning off of each other a little bit. But that was great. And then, like I said, Manga Studio, I was getting good with that, or not good. I shouldn't say good, but I'm getting functional with that.
Proficient.
Yeah, proficient. Yeah. And then I was at a convention, and I remember like somebody came up and wanted me to do a commission, and I'm like, well, yeah, but I mean, I go home and do it on my Cintiq. I can't do it here because I'm do digital. Like, oh no, it'll be fine. Just do this. And I'm like, oh shit, I guess I could. And so I got on my sketchbook and I started sketching whatever, and I reached for one of my pens that I hadn't used in a while because I remember vividly thinking, like, when I started digital inking, like, I'll never have to buy art supplies again because why would I ever need those again? I have a digital computer.
Oh, you will pull my iPad from my cold dead hands, I said, for years, and gave you 3 boxes of art supplies that I have now since incredibly regretted because I'm like, oh fuck, I gave that to Ben. Now I'm gonna have to go buy a new one. Darn.
They're still here. Come pick through them. But
I can buy new stuff now.
I got out one of my favorite pens is a Pigma graphic one. Micron, that's what I'm trying to think of. It's a graphic one, so it's like a brush pen, but it's a really stiff brush tip. And,
you had me pick them up for you when I was in Denver.
I did, yes.
Stiff tip.
Yeah.
Don't you know it?
And I got that out, and it hadn't been used in a while, and I did my pencils, and I was like, I remember just being like, oh God, I don't know if I can do this anymore. And the moment that pen hit the paper, this weird little magical thing happened. When I was doing digital inking, you're doing a what's the word I'm looking for? You're doing an approximation of the line you want. And so, you have I don't know, 1024 levels of pressure sensitivity, and you're trying to use as much of that as possible to get these lines. But you also have to figure out what works. In the years of doing digital inking, I had built up a lot of muscle memory unknowingly about how to make lines, because you can make a line, undo, make a line, undo, make a line, undo, and then finally get that right line. You do that over and over and over again. Suddenly your hand knows what to do. So when that pen hit the paper, I had so many more levels of response from my hand. It was like drawing unplugged. I mean, it was awesome.
Literally.
And so like,
I mean, literally. Analog has entered the chat.
Well, it is, and it was great. It was fantastic. And then I almost literally didn't touch my Cintiq for a couple of years because like everything I was doing was, I shouldn't say I was still doing digital coloring, but I mean, all my inking was analog. I started filling sketchbooks with.
Yeah, I didn't realize how much I had missed traditional until I went back to it. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, like having that, the tactical feel of the brush on the paper was so much more satisfying than just,
It is no joke.
Not knocking digital at all, but there's that
and
haptic feedback from real life is amazing.
Yeah, it was great. It was magical. And I was such a better inker than I thought I was, and that was great. I mean, it was, you know, it's like going. I mean, quite literally, go back to the Matrix here. I mean, it's like going into the Matrix to learn kung fu, and then stepping out in the real world and realizing you fucking know kung fu. It was the
Right?
shit, and it was awesome, and I really liked that. I did quite a bit of digital inking, and then I'm sorry, traditional inking. All my Girls versus Monsters stuff was all traditionally inked. And then car accident, take a big break from art, didn't do anything for a long time, started streaming, doing nothing but digital. Well, there's a funny story to that too. Yeah, that's funny actually. I just remembered that. Was doing art, you know, on the Cintiq again, doing everything digitally. Did a couple girls versus monsters pieces, digitally only, so I didn't have any originals, which was kind of unusual for me on that, but it was still good to be doing art again. And then I had a buddy of mine come down and give my wife a tattoo, and I was like looking at just like, how does that work? That's interesting. And started thinking to myself, like, I could probably do that, and ended up getting a little tattoo gun and learning how to do tattoos for a little bit.
Oh,
and
shit.
the tattoos, and I mean, you
So,
can't get much more analog than
That's
that.
no.
pretty
I mean,
analog.
yeah. Now
That's a different
I did a
canvas.
tattoo. I did
Yeah,
a tattoo apprenticeship too, and I've done 3 or 4 tattoos.
yeah,
So I'm curious. Yeah. Oh yeah, I was into it. I had all the
yeah.
stuff.
I
I
mean,
had all the stuff. I
it's
was gonna do
awesome.
tattoos. Um,
So
I'm
it's
curious how many
great.
of
I
us have,
mean,
have dabbled in the tattoo market to try to figure out like, because like for me it was
well,
like I could make money doing tattoos and that would fund my art, right? That was my
yeah,
plan, was that I
yeah,
was gonna tattoo people and make lots of money. And I yeah, there are a few people out there. My sister is one of them walking around with tattoos that I have done on their bodies,
yeah.
and now you
I
have to have X
think
amount of hours in Mexico and certified and stuff. So
I know.
I just want to let
Yeah,
that
if
dream
you do
go,
it the
but
right way. I think my wife. I think I've done like, I don't remember. I would have to do the count again. Probably done like 14 or 15 tattoos on her, um,
nice. I need
which
to
was
catch
fun.
up.
I have
Yeah,
I
8
need
tattoos on my
I need
body.
some
4
serious
pairs,
ink therapy. I
unfortunately.
it's
seriously need
it's a lot of
therapy.
fun. I
Just a little
really
bit.
enjoyed
It's
it.
fun.
I found a really cool. It's a lot like inking, and I love inking. Inking is by far 100% my favorite part. I hate coloring, but like inking is my favorite part of drawing. Um, and there was a nice can't think of the word, but symbiosis between inking and tattooing. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously
for sure.
inking, but I mean, just the way it handles, the way it, you know, the skin takes the inks
Hmm.
was really interesting. I
Yeah,
noticed
for
I did a
sure.
little bit of color work, and holy crap, inking or tattooing in color, the skin works just like Copic markers. It is so weird. I got really functional with Copic markers for a while. I was doing a lot of blending and
You're
shading and stuff.
totally
And like
right. Holy shit,
it's
you're right. It does.
it's so
I
it's
didn't
so
even make that
analogous. I mean,
connection.
they fit
Yeah.
together the same way. It's just like blending Copic markers. And that really threw me for a loop. And then that led to one day I was tattooing and I'm like, what? Oh my God, I'm getting old. I couldn't see. And so I ended up taking my glasses off to do it because my eyes were changing. And so that was another thing that threw me for a loop. So that my last long pause on, or long rest, we'll call it a long rest. That sounds better. My last long rest with art came primarily because of my eyes and just changes, in eyesight that happens as you get older, and having to find different ways to get around, some new changing
Yeah. Well,
parameters.
aging, as you said, the car accident and not being able to like
Yeah,
sit at your desk for a while. I mean, I went digital because I had my gallbladder out and couldn't sit at my
yeah,
desk for a while.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
I know I've come across a lot of artists who now have physical limitations that they didn't have before. They've broken a
yeah,
hand or many, many other reasons as to
yeah,
why they have to drop out. I don't think you know, a lot of people are like, artists are lucky you just get to sit around and paint all day. But I don't think they realize the physicality of that because, you know, we're having to contort ourselves into weird positions or
Oh yeah.
sit for all day and, you know, have the spine of a shrimp and stuff like that. And it's it's, you know, there's a lot of physicalities there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
The hunch.
You
The
gotta
hunch.
stand up and stretch your back sometimes, you know, and things like that. And yeah, exactly. So I don't think a lot of people realize just how one, and if you have like a chronic illness or physical limitations or anything like that, it starts to play, and then it plays on the mentality, which is kind of what I wanted to touch in on was the, you know, the mental health of having to let go of becoming an artist, or
Yeah.
again, our identities are so wrapped up in that and having to decide like, okay, I can't do this anymore, so that's not who I am anymore. So
Yeah.
how do I handle that? I like, so now that you've come back to art, and do you consider yourself an artist again? Like, is that, I know I know you've whined about it in group a few times, but you know, like, I'm having fun and I don't like it. Like, you
I know,
came to
but
terms with the fact that you were not an artist anymore, and now surprise, you're still an artist. Like, how are you? Are you doing okay there with that? Welcome to the
oh yeah,
fold,
I
Dan.
mean, I'm doing all right. I just don't know what the answer to that question is yet.
So th-
That's
that
where I'm at. Is
that
is I
question is
just
contingent upon the fact that are you an artist if you're only producing, or is it the way that you
Ooh.
is it the way that you
Oh, I like
is it the
that.
way that you think and the way that you see things? Because I would garner that Ben has always seen things in a creative way or in a different light than
Oh, I absolutely don't
most
think he ever
people.
stopped being an artist, for
Yeah, I
sure.
don't think Ben ever stopped being an
well,
artist.
I,
He
I
just
also
he just did
used to
it in a
say stuff
different way.
like I'm an artist. I shit and it's art. You know, I mean,
Yeah, shit art.
you know, there's a point of that where yes, it's always that. I mean, everything. You know, so I work in a library. I had I had an option when I took this job. I had actually got another job at the exact same time. Um, and part of the reason I took this job over the other one, having never worked in a library before, having never really had any desire to work in a library before, the thing that drew me to this, um,
So funny.
Ba-da-ba.
um, um, drew. The thing that drew me to this was the idea that I could be kind of creative there. You know, I'm never not creative. Well, I, I've had this argument with myself lots over the years. You know, we consume and we create, and those two things are in this constant state of like balance, right? 6 7 6 7, whatever. Stupid kids.
It's made it to the
The
chat, people. We've been infected.
Yeah, sorry.
The brain rot is here.
You know,
Picking out Ben in.
delete.
All right.
But
Brett.
the you know, you're in this constant state of like consuming whatever it is the world's trying to get you to consume. But on the flip side of that, as a creative person, you're constantly trying to create. And on some level, you can't help but create. You have to. I mean, if I'm not drawing, I mean, honestly, I'm cooking, I'm 3D printing, I'm modeling, you know, I mean, I spent
I think
like,
it's creativity is how our brains are wired, right? I mean, even
yeah,
thinking
oh yeah,
about how to do a business or how to do, you know, whatever. It's artists think outside the box, regardless of what
absolutely.
the hell it is. And that's, I mean, that's why I think I'm, you know, stretching at this point. So many of us are like neurodivergent and stuff because our brains are already pre-wired to see the world differently and to
Yes.
step into a creative field, regardless of what that field is, whether it's music, whether it's cooking, or whether it's
Yeah,
digital art or physical art or whatever. I think there might be some element of being pre-wired for that kind of thing as a neurodivergent and some stuff like that. So, and we're
yeah,
creative no matter what. I mean, rearranging the furniture in a fucking room is being creative, right? Like,
yeah.
that's
I mean, there's everything. Like everything we do comes with this twinge of like, how do I take this and make it into something else? I came across something. I'm gonna drop a quote today. And it's a quote I've heard before, but I heard it differently, and I found the real quote today. This is interesting. It's Mark Twain. So I'll tell you the quote I heard, and the way I had this in my head. So there's no original ideas, just original interpretations. That was the quote I thought I remembered. And I was looking for that today for some reason, and I came across this, and this is the quote from Mark Twain. There's no such thing as an original idea. It is impossible. We simply take a lot of old ideas and put them into a sort of mental kaleidoscope. That was interesting to me because, again, I mean, we're constantly taking this input of all of the things that we see and experience and regurgitating it, taking it in, but also putting it back out in some new form. And I don't know how not to do that.
Right.
We shift it, retract it, and put it back out in a new form.
Yeah. Now, the interesting thing I had after reading that, and I hate to go this because I know that we almost made it through this whole podcast without even saying it, but isn't that what AI does?
Right. Yeah, but okay, so the difference though is that AI can't make the educated decisions that artists can. We can sift through and pick out. Fair enough. Yeah, we're not there yet. But
no, I know.
You guys have all read Steel Like an Artist.
I'm not pro AI. This is not a pro AI. It was just a thought.
Oh, Alan's in shutdown. Alan's in shutdown.
In 3, 2.
No. But I mean, it is something. It is essentially taking that it's putting it all in a blender and spitting out a new smoothie of whatever. And I mean, yes, there's no intention behind it. It's literally just
that's the difference.
But
you're getting an amalgamation of all
AI doesn't need art to exist, though.
No, it doesn't.
No, we need art and story and human connection to exist. We need creativity to exist as human beings. It is my
not all of us.
It is my interpretation that we wouldn't have made it out of cave walls if we weren't drawing on them, letting them, letting us know what the predators were and what was safe to eat.
Yeah. Anyway, it was
just Feel Like an Artist, right? By Austin Kleon. Feel Like an Artist. It's a little black book. No, have you guys read it?
No, I have not. Sorry.
I think AI could be a fabulous tool if it wasn't for the fact that it was
I've heard
the most gross, impossibly gross way to replace and manipulate and steal from all of us.
I've hadn't been a part of all of the conversations, not all, but I mean plenty of the AI conversations, and I'm not. There's no sympathy for it. It's just it like I said, it just struck me that it's doing what we're supposed to be doing, and that's the problem. It's doing what we're supposed to be doing,
right?
And that's again, it's taking our jobs, because it's our job to interpret the world, not its. It's our job to take all of this input and all of these different things, and put them through our personal lens and spit out something new and unique.
So that book, Still Like an Artist, talks about that. It talks about, if you're copying, if you're looking at one or two artists and you're recreating their work, you're copying. But Still Like an Artist is, you look at as many artists as possible and internalize them, and then put them through your filter, basically. So, we all have our influences, and sometimes you can look at somebody's art and go, oh my gosh, so-and-so is clearly an influence for that person.
Sure.
But if you pull in enough influences and you pull in enough, if you consume enough, then, your output doesn't look anything like the couple of artists that you might follow.
You start finding something that's uniquely you about it.
Yeah. And the first question that so many people ask at shows is, where do you get your ideas from? And it's like, well, first off, ideas are cheap. Everybody can fucking come up with ideas. It's not that hard. And second of all, we as artists literally look at everything. Karen, the woman that just runs the tea shop, was just talking the other day about how, so she's started drawing during the meetings. And she said it's so weird because, now she's like, she's looking outside at the trees across the street and she's noticing how the light's filtering through the trees.
Yep.
And that's very much an artist thing to do is we notice all of those tiny little things. I mean, see like an artist,
Yeah.
that's drawing on the right side of the brain.
Yeah.
That's all about how that is. That's what that's all about. She's like,
But-
a year ago, I wouldn't have even thought about it. Right?
And here's the thing with that. Like, I wish AI was solving the problems that it didn't take 3 seconds to replace us with. I wish it was solving problems that it takes AI a good 4 hours to try to resolve. Like create an engine that is so fuel efficient that it runs on an ounce of gas can go 200 miles.
That's that abstract thinking though, and AI doesn't have abstract thinking yet, so it's not already out in the matrix. AI can't think of it on its own, and those are all products that humans and creatives have to think through because it's abstract thinking, right?
Right.
Well, and again, at its core, what it's designed to do is parse data.
Right.
And the one thing it can do really well that it can do better than us is parse large quantities of data. And that's where, it's such a mixed bag. And I don't know what the future holds, and I don't know where this is going to end up. I know where it hurts right now. But I know, as many negatives as there are some positives, and I'm not saying that that's good. It's just, I've seen Terminator. I know what Skynet looks like. I'm not oblivious.
I've heard a lot of people say that you can't put the genie back in the bottle. And like, I understand that sentiment as far as you can't put the genie back in the bottle, as far as that goes. But, a genie was subservient to the 3 wishes rule. As well.
Rules that
so it had some
out,
regulations attached to it, even in that story, in that scenario. So I think that if we can advocate for ourselves, advocate for human art and human effort, and that's one thing that I've seen come from this. I have seen so many good artists producing top tier fucking work. Yeah. Because AI is forcing us to elevate our game, to a point where it's like, we are, we shouldn't have to, but it's forcing us to a point where we're going back to traditional. So I'm seeing almost a renaissance of art right now, not less art.
Well, and that's, again, I think Carla's mentioned that before too. I mean, there's this push of artists going back to traditional, which is good. And that could go into the whole social media thing too, because again, what are we doing as artists? We're pushing our work out to socials, which is exactly the place that it's going to get all of this stuff. So it's like we're feeding the mechanism that's destroying us.
By design, like we don't have a choice.
You are the product.
Ouroboros,
right?
Ouroboros, is that right?
Ouroboros,
so I don't know.
Yes, we're snake eating our own tails.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, that's a conversation. I was not trying to steer it into that, but it was just a.
We would have steered it there anyway.
I know. I figured I'd just drive this bus right in. No, kidding. I'm going
to bring up AI before Alan can.
But I don't know. It was just something that struck me, and it's. There's an aspect of it that it can be a tool, but like you said, there's no putting that genie back in the bottle. There's no, once we give it any leeway, it's going to go off in a direction we didn't intend it. And that's the precursor to handing the keys to Skynet. And
like the we that's controlling it are people that shouldn't have control of it anyway. Like we're already talking about it like it's this weird sentient thing. And yeah, there's a black box syndrome where they don't actually know what it's doing, which is scary in and of itself. But the people that are controlling it, I know, right?
Yeah.
I love that episode. Did you try turning it off and on again? The internet. Yes. Yeah, I mean, the people that are controlling it are the people that are trying to control like all of society. This is going to get weird and into
Yeah, but I
like
mean,
really
if
weird
we're if we're
stuff.
if we're being honest, I mean, it's the same people controlling the art markets too. So I mean, it's like we're all feeding the
Yeah, yeah,
machine
well,
in
social
some way,
media
or
and everything
you
else.
know,
Like it's
yeah,
we're by design being forced to eat our own tails.
Right.
exactly, yeah. So in
You
that
know,
in
when
that
they take
regard,
away all the other
So,
food.
Ben, not to wrap it up, or
Oh
not to
yeah,
wrap it up here, but
we are hitting time.
what are you excited about doing right now? Like any projects that you want to pitch or promote or talk about at this point? Things that you're excited about doing?
not promote, and that's just in a. Let me give you my thoughts on that. Um, I am posting stuff to Instagram and to Substack, um, reluctantly. Uh, not that I don't.
Do you feel pressured to have to do that?
There's a little bit of that. It's stupid, but
I
We're
mean,
all
you,
I'm
we
doing.
you
all
can
do it.
hot
I'm
drop an
doing.
We
AD.
all
I mean,
do it.
No, I know. I'm dropping, or I'm making art for me right now. That's it,
right.
hands down, full stop. That's what I'm doing. I don't give a shit about any of that stuff.
That's good.
I love that.
I'm outside of the game. I'm not trying to promote a product right now. I
Cool.
don't have a product right now because I haven't written the damn book, and I need to do that. And every time I go off on one of these tangents of drawing pictures, I realize I'm not writing, which is another whole thing that I'm trying to figure out. So that
Don't
being
chase too
said,
many rabbits.
what's that?
Don't chase too many rabbits.
Oh God.
Fucking Sunrow. We love you,
Yes, I
Sunrow.
know. Yes. Um, yeah, no, he's right. And there's aspects of it, but I mean, I'm hardwired to chase all the rabbits. So
So are
I
we.
don't know
It's
what
called
to do.
ADHD. I got a pill
Um,
for that now.
yes. I need
How's
one
it
of those.
working?
But
I'm
the
only
thing is
chasing 4 or 5 as opposed to half a dozen, so that's cool.
yeah. I'm the only person I'm making art for right now is myself. I'm making it to make myself laugh. I'm making it to make myself understand the characters for the novel that I'm writing just a little bit better. And in that regard, I think it's a dizzying success.
Okay.
I'm getting more out of these silly little web comics than I have from writing them all along. Personally, I'm getting more out of it. So to come back full circle, I have not posted it yet. I'm not going to post it till it's done. Um, the story that I wrote for the story that I wrote that is the impetus for all of this now is the webcomic I'm working on right now.
Awesome.
I went back, turned it in. I scripted it all out. I figured out. I mean, it's short. It was never designed to be anything other than just a short story. But that was my jumping off point. If I'm going to do a long form comic, I'm going to do that in its entirety and finish it. So I'm about halfway through right now. So when I finish that, I'll post it somewhere. I don't, other
I mean, you
than
could.
Substack.
I
And
mean, we can
I have
always
to ask
you can
questions.
always post it in our Discord. We can give you
Sure.
some feedback on it
Oh
privately.
yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta
Well,
invite him
the
to
ni-
the Here Be Dragons Discord for sure.
yeah, the nice thing, so all of the comics I've done so far, long before I started posting them on, on the grams and the Substacks, which I still don't understand, but we'll talk about that later. Long before I did that, I would do the comic and then send it to Carla and Rico, and I would send it to a couple of my buddies on Discord, in another group that I'm in. And I would show them to my wife and kids, and that was it. That was the only, and I was happy as can be.
Yeah.
And I started showing it to a couple of people in the library, and the one of the biggest joys I was getting from that was just when I would come in and say, I got another one, and they're like, oh, we got another one. I mean, that was cool to me. that was awesome. So
I was always
um,
excited to see you posting in our little group chat.
yeah, and so like right now, I'm gonna hang on to that as long as I can.
Well,
It's
hell
for
yeah.
me. If anybody else wants to look at it, they can, but I don't care. And I think that's
It,
the healthiest headspace I can be in as
it's
far as
it's nice to
creating
have
art right now.
critical feedback from trusted people.
Sure. Yeah.
Like I think social media is great if you're trying to do something where you're
Yeah.
trying to build an audience. But if you don't care about those things, or you don't care about the perception of being like a professional artist in the world, like you would rather be
Yeah.
making the art for you,
Yeah.
and having that like be like a calming force in your life, not
Yeah.
something that
Yeah.
gives you like stress. So
Yeah.
I definitely fully understand that as a way of um like, you don't have to perform for like the expectation of being a professional artist.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I have I
I'm just
have a
oh, go ahead.
question. Okay, so would you almost consider the art that you're making now more in the craft space as opposed to like art because you're doing it just for yourself, you're doing it to just relax, you're doing it. See what I mean? Like the mentality, right? It's
So you're
almost
saying
like
the
you're coming
hobby
at
is this
it.
crafter?
No, not at all. But most people craft to like relax and chill. They're not going to post it on their social media. They're not going to do. They're just doing it literally just for themselves. So
Oh,
emotionally,
like crochet.
yeah. Do you think you're coming at it more as like a craft as opposed to like a fine art or an art
Well,
or
hobby.
like there's no product involved, right?
Damn you! Why are you gonna drop this on me? I don't
Damn
know.
it, Carla. You're just
Sorry.
opening up the
That's a
hood.
tough one.
Well, just the way you're
No, I
describing it
mean,
is like that's because I
yeah,
craft on top of being an artist, and I don't consider the outcomes. The outcomes are totally different, right?
yeah.
So for craft is just like for shits and giggles to let my brain
The
process or do fun things, whatever. And then the art is the art, capital T, capital A, TM, the art, right?
you're
So
calling me out. You know that, right? Mm-hmm.
you left me.
So, am I doing it as a hobby or am I doing it as a job?
I see. I don't think it's either of those. I think there's a gray area in there that you're
Is there
just.
though?
Where
I don't know if I would make
you're
that a
doing it
hobby.
as a skill. You're doing it like a woodworker, like an artisan, like a woodworker
Yes.
would
Okay.
do his
I'll give
skills.
you that.
There you
Yeah.
go. Okay.
Like
I
It's
think that's a
not.
happy
like a
medium.
woodworker would keep up on his skills as a woodworker.
I am not thinking about it in the regards of a finished product that needs to be sold.
Right.
Because I'm
Because
I'm
that comes with baggage,
hesitant.
right? That comes with
Yeah, I am
pressure
hesitant
and
to.
Pressure and
Well,
baggage,
baggage. Yeah,
and
that
absolutely.
implies at some point I have to be standing behind a table trying to schlep work, and
right,
I'm
right.
miserable doing that.
That'll
So
kill your vibe. That'll kill your drive
yeah,
to create.
kind of, yeah. And so I guess in that regard, yeah. I mean, it's not a hobby
Right.
because
No,
I'm
and
not
I didn't.
approaching it. I'm approaching it with the same
Yeah.
skill set and same dedication that I would put into it
As a
Level as
professional.
a craft, as a
before,
professional. Yeah.
but I'm also not thinking about the end product. So if that answers the question, artisan seems like maybe the better word that describes that. So sure.
Fancy word for
But
See,
crafter.
and
yeah,
I love that
I,
because I
I'm
think
gonna,
we
I'm
have a
gonna,
lot
I'm
of
gonna,
listeners. I think we have a lot of listeners and hopefully in the future a lot more listeners. We're working on it.
mm,
You say you're going to be an artist, and the first thing people ask is, "How are you going to make money? Are you going to make money at it? How are you going to sell it? How are you?"
Right.
It's an automatic turning us into a product.
yeah,
And I know for me personally, I explain it of when I'm making the art, I'm making the art. That's the fun part. That's the hobby. That's the
yeah,
artisan, the craft, whatever. Yes, it's like a child. Once you make it, it has to grow up, get out of the house, and get a job so it can make you money. But I'm not thinking of that while I'm creating it. I have to keep those
yes,
two very, very separate.
yeah,
And I think especially going back to social media and things like that, and especially with AI and whatnot, there are so many artists that as soon as they say the words "I am an artist" or "I want to be an artist," the pressure's on. right? Now they have to make it, and they have to fill a booth, and they have to do shows, and they have to look at products, and they have to do
Well,
the
because
research. And there's a
that's the progression we're
whole
told is what is necessary,
right,
right?
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's a whole ball
I've
of
been
wax
in
that goes with that I think pressures a lot of people that don't need to be there.
Yeah.
And there's nothing
I've
wrong
only
with being
been
an artist that
in
doesn't
front
make
of
a
a
product.
booth for. I've only been in front of a booth for like 8 years. My first booth was a little street fair that was free for me to sign up, Pittsburgh Art Walk, and that was like, and before that, like I'd helped out at some conventions, just like I helped Carla at the Renfest, and
the experience between the Renfest
putting your own work out there it's stress inducing, and it can be not for everyone, especially if you dread small talk and you dread building that rapport with people.
The funny thing is,
as a librarian, I find it funny that
I know. Okay, so I'm gonna be 100% honest. I hate people. That's what it comes down to. I hate people. But I'm the most I know. I'm the most personable people hater you'll meet.
You broke the game. It was a game and you broke it. That's all that is. That sounds really like serial killer psychopath. That's not what I meant.
I know, right?
But I'm sorry. Because you broke the game, right? Like
but my wife's the same way. I mean, we just generally don't like, and I mean, there's the people versus person part, right? I mean, you can have relationships with people, or persons, but having people, it's the royal we
crowd mentality.
Yeah, you're not going out to the concerts and the fair.
No, I mean, like I generally avoid crowds if I can. I don't like to be around a lot of people. Like concerts, everybody wants to go to concerts, and I'm like, I like music. I have Spotify. I'm good.
It's so loud. You're not talking to the people around you anyway. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like, she's the same way. She's, we're not like we go home to get away from everybody. But like you talk to me in the library, I will talk your ear off. I mean, if it's something I'm passionate about, or if it's something I'm friendly, but I mean, if you want to know something, I'm the first one to give. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm happy to give. I just, like as soon as that 5 o'clock hits, I'm out. And so, yeah, I mean, to do conventions,
you got to be on all the time.
Yeah, and like I said, there's an aspect of it I do. There's a performance aspect of it I do enjoy, and that's really weird. But I don't perform behind a table. When I'm behind a table, I'm schlepping, and there's no other better word for that. I'm trying to do sales, and I hate sales. And I don't want to. I don't. Well, there's a whole valuation of art, and that's a whole nother thing too. But like I have a hard time.
We are running out of time. I think we're over as it is. So.
Yeah. But anyway, so I was gonna say, like, I'm gonna wrap this all up in a nice little bow, and I'm just gonna say the way I approach all of this right now is, oops, I just arted.
Oops, I just did it. I love it. That's great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think
that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just arting.
That implies like the first like 20 some years of my art making life. Oops, I just did it. Like,
shit, I made something.
Look at this beautiful shit I just made. Isn't it wonderful?
I arted it.
I arted it. I get it. You arted.
Yeah.
Yes.
Took you a while. You got there.
How long did you
No, but
cool.
that's
I got there finally.
Awesome. So there's nothing you want to plug, so you're good there. Keep an eye out. Like Alan and I have been sharing Ben's stuff, so if you want to find him, you can find him through us without a problem. Thanks for joining us today. It's been an amazing conversation. And to anyone listening, remember, dragons may be scary, but they're also where the treasure is. Thank you for joining Here Be Dragons. Make sure you like, subscribe, and find us on all the places. Here Be Dragons, Artcast.com, Substack, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, YouTube, and anywhere else you listen. And we will see you next time. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
Ben. Thank you guys. Thanks for having me.